Welcome everybody to Blackwell City Council this evening, meeting September 16th, 2021. You guys will stand, join us. Chad's going to lead us in prayer. We'll lead a flag salute.
Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you for all the blessings that you give us. We thank you for our community and how you bless it. And we just ask that you give us all wisdom here tonight to make the right choices and to glorify you in all we do. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome everyone, and we'll check see if we have any public comments this evening. Just give us 1 second.
Yes, sir. Becky Adams.
Excuse me?
Becky, want to step up?
Well, I don't want to step up, but I'm going to step up. So bear that in mind. I have spoken in a long time for many, many, many reasons. Some of you have heard me publicly before. Some of you have not. Some of you have predetermined opinions about who I am, how I speak, and why I speak, that I'm sure you've heard from others. So I've sat home, I've kept my mouth shut, but I'm ready to talk because this agenda drove me nuts. I have had several concerns in the past that I haven't brought forward, and it's several, Mr. Attorney. So please hear me out. First thing that has concerned me, and it wasn't true when I first started attending meetings, is this public comment opportunity. When I first started attending meetings, it was very democratic, and as things came up on the agenda and details were given, people were welcome to raise their hands and ask a question. That's the only way I think you can know what you want to ask, is to know what's going on during your part of the conversation. You have your questions, we have ours. You might not ask one that we might have. And I have complained about that 2.5 years now. Because of the previous council and management, they did some digging. It was always said, well, it's open meeting law. You can't talk during a meeting, it's open meeting law. I reviewed the open meeting law. Look it up. That is not open meeting law. That is a restriction placed by this council at some point in time in the council handbook. It is not in the law anywhere. Bryce, you can back me up or call me a liar or show me.
No, it's not. It's not in the law, but there's no obligation to let the public talk either.
I understand.
So
I understand.
of course, you should, but there's no obligation under the law
You
for
said
the
it.
public to speak.
You
Yes.
said it. I'm saying, gentlemen, you should. They did in the past. It was more diplomatic. It was prone to listen to what the public thought at the moment from your information. If this is a public meeting, it should be a public meeting. Why invite people to come if you don't want to hear the questions? And I'll give you the biggest example. That's why this agenda troubled me, particularly. Items F, G, H have no reference. They're acronyms. They're acronyms, gentlemen. If I'm sitting home and I'm looking at this agenda and I'm trying to make a decision about attending this meeting and having an opinion, how would I do that? Based on the presentation on the agenda. And I'm just asking globally, look at the big picture. Look at what you know and we don't know. Please. This is a public meeting. If you do not want the public to have questions during the agenda, then don't invite them. Go behind closed doors in your sessions and make all the decisions and let us live with the consequences. That's not the way this is set up. It just isn't. That's bothered me. Off the topic, topic 2. I was told that 30 of the 40 credit cards were removed. Based on that information, I assumed that credit card expenditures would decrease. I don't see on this agenda from this one, Blackwell Minority Municipal, where that has occurred. Just questioning how come. And you don't have to respond to me. I'm not even asking for responses. When you get to consent agenda, if you'd like to share that with me, I'd love to hear it. And I know you're in the process of getting a purchasing agent, so all that can be at better control. I know that. I was just surprised to see it still at 30,000.
You know, just because we pull those don't mean that the spending has to stop. We still have to run the city. So it's just more, in a more refined, delegated way.
I know.
So the spending, yes, it will come down, but we still have to function. And right now, through our policies and procedures, that's the way we function. And now that will be changing, like you said. You just have to give us just a little bit more time to get that done.
I'm with you. I'm with you. And I'm just saying, I'd like to see more information on the agenda so that people at home who review it can make a decision if they even have an opinion or care. Obviously, how many people are here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 of 6,100 people are in this room.
And on average, I'll ask a question, even though we're actually not supposed to go back and forth, but how many are usually here? I mean, you.
I don't have a problem with that, TJ.
I know, I'm just saying, most are at home.
I have spoken alone for 2.5 years.
Right.
I don't have a problem with that. It's a cause for me too. I have concerns for the way the city has been financially managed and the way it continues to be. I have more faith and trust in this council and this administration than since I moved back here in 2015. So keep that in mind. This isn't an I'm attacking you conversation. This is I'm telling you concerns I have that have been ongoing in Blackwell for as long as Blackwell's been here. And if you're sincere about opening up to the public, rather than doing things that we just give enough and then we vote and then you have to live with it. We don't want your input. We really don't want your opinions because we won't let you talk during the presentation. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. It can't be both ways, public or hidden. I had asked someone who is in a position to ask someone on budget, on the agenda item number, and I did mark it, L. Now, not everybody in this town has 27 years of accounting. I know that too. Not everybody in this town gives a flying heck until after done, and they want to gripe about it on Facebook. That is not who I am, gentlemen. Item L, consider approval to request to seek bids and request to approve specifications for the police department vehicles. Attachment. Specifications are attached. Do I see those specs? Can I have an opinion on those specs? Can I have an opinion about what was on budgeted and what they're asking you to go out for bid on? No, because this charter is set up to not give us information until you approve it, until you've agreed to pay for it. And then 2 weeks after those minutes, it's supposed to be online to the public, and it isn't. Where am I open to give an opinion from the get-go? I'm just saying. That's in the charter. That needs to be changed. If right here you get the specs for what was budgeted and what's going to be asked for, we ought to be able to see them too, so we know if we want to come and ask about it. Because you could have said at the top, ask me questions, and then keep your mouth shut. But you don't tell me what I want to ask a question about. Just say it. And that's it. Like it or not, I've had people tell me that people don't want to communicate with me from this council because I'm too outspoken, I'm too opinionated. Well, I have been when I have a cause. And there's been many horrible decisions made by our previous council. And we don't have to look very far in the past to know those were there. And we cannot gloss over them and play like they didn't happen. and put them under the bed, let the dust bunnies swallow them up, because it's too big. And we have too many steps to take to avoid that ever happening to the city again. And I don't mean today, tomorrow, next year. This is ongoing forever, gentlemen. I've seen the history. I've seen the records. I've spent the time doing the research. And Mr. Meacham, our new CPA, cannot be asked or paid enough money to look at all of those fine little details that can help you do your job better and more forthcoming to the public, who is the people who are paying for your decisions. That's not his job. He's paid to take our financial records, give you a little opinion, and let you do what you do. I'm saying do it a better way. Do it a better way than's ever been done. Don't put anything under the table. Don't come up with things like this. Put them on the dadgum agenda and let people come and ask questions. We are entitled to the information, not a month after the fact. Why is that? If this was all on your head and you were an old lady on Social Securities and you're worried about your double the bill already, possibly going up in the future because of decisions that you make that we never knew were coming to start with, would you not be more concerned? And it's not personal to any. It's a concept. If you're going to be open, please be open. Thank you.
Thank you, Becky. Any other public comments this evening? And moving on to the consent agenda, item 4. There's no questions on those items, no item to be removed and placed below for discussion. Motion.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Tracy?
Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Moving on to reports, is item 8, got Trust Authority Board reports, top of the Oklahoma Museum. Anybody from the golf course this evening? Economic Development or the Lake Trust Authority for tourism. It must all be at the fair. I'm gonna guess early fair. We'll move through the reports. Moving on then to finance report. Russ, turn that over to you.
Good evening, gentlemen. Everybody's had a wonderful day. Tell you what, the weather's starting to get a little cooler, and it's kind of nice when you step outside and get to enjoy the briskness of the air. I think it really feels like football season today. You know, it's like time to go to a few football games and go enjoy, and maybe even the fair, right? You know, because it is fair time also. Real quickly, on financial, because I know the agenda is not near as long as it was the last couple of times, so you guys don't want to hear me stand up here for hours on end and talk about things, but do want to have a handful of things to kind of talk about and hit on. If you're looking at the schedule of cash, which is really the first piece that we have, one of the items that's going to come up on the agenda here a little later is related to the CDBG. If you look over in the sales tax capital improvement fund, there is a reserved cash of about $673,000. That's part of the money that's been budgeted that will be used whenever you get to that item that goes along with the grant. So I just wanted to point that out, where that's coming from. Kind of as you're looking at this cash report, that's what it's there for, so we can kind of figure out and see where the assets are setting, where the dollars are. And so I try to use this as like a specific example for you. You know, we do have that cash set aside. That's where the reserve monies are coming out of. Those dollars, as Tracy and I were talking today, you know, I mean, those dollars aren't going to get replenished. You know, that's what's left of that 99 sales tax capital improvement fund cash. So just kind of a heads up as you're looking at that. It's one of the reasons that we give the cash sheet this way. You can see exactly where those cash balances are and what's changing on them. So again, third from the last column, there down at the very bottom in those restricted investments, that's the $673,000 that we'll be talking about a little later. On the financials themselves, if you're looking at budget versus actuals, and a couple of things to talk about, you know, sales tax for the year is up 6%, which is really a good number. You look at the chart at the back and you can kind of see those growth numbers that we've had year over year, you know, for the last 3 years that we're showing the trends for, which is very good for us. We love to have sales tax continued up. We will see, just traditionally, and as you're looking at that chart, you'll see it, that we're going to see a downturn. And we're going to go down for a few months until we get to February's deposit, which is really for November and December sales. You know, so we're going to see a downturn, and then we'll see some dollars coming back up. Again, kind of traditionally what we see and what we're expecting to see. Here's the piece that has really changed and is great news for us. Use tax year to date is up 10%. You know, those aren't on the charts, but you know, use tax is a much smaller number, but relative when we start talking about total dollars to the city and total dollars that we're bringing in, a 10% increase is year to date is great. What's even better is this month's collection was about $44,000, which is almost 40% over what prior year same month was. So those are really big increases for use tax. Keeping that in mind, is you're going down the financial, you're going to see the everything should be about 17%. Everything's pretty much in line. One of the pieces that there is under public safety, you will see we're about 20%. There's some demo expense that is in that police side. It's under the code enforcement piece, but we roll all those together for this summary statement. There's about $40,000 that was paid out in demolition expense. That's really what is there. Again, that was a capital project item. We budgeted about $70,000 for it, but so instead of spreading it out over all the months equally, you get it all here in 1 month, or a good portion of it here in 1 month, and that's really what's skewing that number. On the BMA side, and looking at that piece, you know, we look at our electric revenues, and we're saying about 23%. Again, seasonality-wise, we would expect that to happen. You know, we get hot June and July and August, and that's when these buildings that we're looking at here happen. So we get higher revenue pieces there. But the number that was really standing out to me when you break that down and go in and look at it is our demand charge, which is really our large customers, our industrial customers are the only ones that get demand. So those large industrial customers that are on demand meters, our demand revenues are up almost $50,000 in the first 2 months of the year compared to the same months last year. And we have 12 additional demand meters this year than what we had. So, you know, I mean, that's really about $45,000 on average per demand meter that we're making extra. Those dollars weren't included in the budget. You know, where we go back and look at revenue projections and look at how those numbers came about, that was a much lower number than what was really expected. So that's good news for us. We hope that that demand piece continues. We love to sell electricity, and we love to sell it to non-residential and make our money outside of the backs of the citizens. So that is good. If you're looking at that, you see the 22% on electric expense. Again, we would expect that number to be up just because we're paying more for Hosal Electric, and that's really where it's all driven. The only other thing that has a higher expense than really what we would expect right now is down in administration. But if you'll remember, we pay quarterly for our insurances, and insurances run through the administration department and run through that line item. So that's why we're over as far as that goes. All in all, guys, I'm going to tell you I'm happy with where we're sitting this year. We ahead of budget, ahead of kind of what was planned, especially at this point. And you know, we do have some projects coming up. You guys are approving a couple tonight. There'll be a handful of things coming up in the next couple of meetings that, you know, as we continue to look. But right now, I would say we're on track for where we want to be. You guys have any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Russ. Good report. Moving on into business discussion. Item A, receive recommendation from Blackwell Planning Commission on rezoning request made in accordance with Title 11, Section 43-104 through 43-106 of Oklahoma statutes as amended, by applicant Larry E. Keeney to rezone the following described real property located at 1323 West College, Blackwell, Oklahoma, 74631, and with a legal description of lots 11 through 15, Block 20, Baptist College Edition, City of Blackwell, K County, State of Oklahoma, according to their recorded plat thereof, from duplex residential district to general commercial district.
Sorry about getting that memo late too, I didn't know if I have it. Their recommendation was to deny on grounds we'd have to amend the comprehensive plan because that shows residential in the future, and the comprehensive plan doesn't show any commercial in that area either in the future, so. They are here if you'd like them to speak, so.
Got any comments or information on this, or are you aware of what being proposed? This summary states there's going to be a list of property owners that approve this development.
You don't have that here.
Okay, it just said it's going to be attached, so just,
Oh, it was attached in all of their,
oh, and
in all their
there's,
stuff.
that's okay.
Sometimes it's kind of tough on these because you have to think of if you change something, it's not who has it now, but it's going to be changed for anybody that owns that property down the road. And so sometimes you have to, it's not, whatever decision, at least for me, when you make, you have to think of not what's going on with it now, or at least the way that I look at it. But
Bryce, speaking of that, is there a way to put a reversion on that if they were sold it or weren't the actual users that would revert back?
No, you know, the techniques that we have are, because this is going from residential to commercial, you know, you create this future land use plan, which can be amended, okay, but shows what you want the community to look like in the future, okay, what your thoughts are in the future. In this particular case, that land use plan shows that that it stays residential. Of course, you can amend the land use plan, but you can't rezone unless you amend the land use plan, because zoning has to be based on planning, okay? Now, the other technique that you have is a site plan. This would have to be, go through the site plan process. If this was approved, it's a commercial tract of land, and it's located near residential tracts of land, so, you know, you could require fencing, well, all the items that you could require under a site plan. So those are really the techniques that we have. There is another way, and lately I've been talking about it with some of my communities. It takes additional legislation. You'd have to have an ordinance, and that's specific use permits, okay, which is authorized under the statute. And really what that says is that sometimes in zoning districts, there are uses which are not normal to those districts, which if you have an ordinance that says these are the ones that are not normal in the ordinance, but can be provided, in that case, you could issue a permit, okay, that if ownership changed, then that could change. So it is a technique that we could do. You don't have that in your code. It is something you could send to the planning commission and do. In this case, I'm not sure that that an impound yard, essentially for repossessed automobiles, which is what the purpose is, would be a special use in a residential district. But that is a technique. So what you asked, we can do, but we would have to legislate. I just don't know that it would occur in this particular case.
Because for quite a long time, that property has just had a commercial-looking building on it. It's not been a residence for a number of years.
That's true. So, you know, and I don't know the history, I've only been here for 6 years, but, you know, I assume that it may be a non-conforming use, valid at the time that it was established. How long do you think that building has been there? Has it been
You
It's
guys
been
have,
like 40 years, I think.
40 years, so, you know, it could,
It's been a,
you know, it may or may not predate the zoning ordinance, or may or may not predate, you know, the latest version of the zoning ordinance, but if it was lawful when it was put up, that's what it has to be lawful when it was put up. If it was, it can continue, but it can't be expanded, you know? So you can continue in whatever use that it's been used, even though it's in a residential, but it can't be expansion. We're really asking for kind of a different use, an expanded use, by way of this application. And now, you know, all commercial uses are subject to the site plan review, which is another level of government that we put in, but to protect neighbors and to make for better development.
well, that came about from the rezoning of Northside School property. Didn't we put that in place then, around that same time?
The site plan? Yes.
What under, what are some of the ordinances that for, like, what they're gonna, what they're proposing to use it for is an impound yard? What are some of the ordinances that govern them if it's commercial? I mean, do they have to have a fence you can't see through?
No, they don't. The only thing is they can't have the cars there for more than 30 days.
You have to take a look at what the zoning is, not what the specific use is. Yeah, it puts specific uses in there.
No, I
But it's a
understand
pretty
that,
broad-
but also it's, but each, whatever use it may be under that zoning has some regulations against it. Just like she just, I mean, that was what I'm curious. I didn't know if there's anything that would say whether it's a repair shop, I can't remember what all goes under.
I think it all just applies to all automotive shops.
And somebody have a question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, there's gonna be a 6-foot fence, around it, and we're able to put it where you can't see through it. There's not any houses that are on if they're facing this way, there's no houses on the left of it. There's an abandoned house that's pretty tore up across the street, and there's only one house with the resident in it beside it, and then there's 3 houses on the other side, and he owns all of those, and he was fine with it.
Questions? Well, any more questions for them? They're here. For thoughts on this, would it, if they had to go through the site plan process, would they have enough room to do what they want to do there with the property, with the zoning, with the setbacks and stuff?
Is it just the corner lot of the building, or there's then right to the east of them, there's
Who builds on it?
somewhat of a house?
Yeah, and there's an empty lot on the other side, that's not our lot. We actually spoke with that gentleman, and he's the one that had.
You can come up and speak.
Welcome.
No problem. Welcome.
Sorry. Yeah, we actually, the empty lot to the side of us, we actually spoke with that gentleman, and he said that he actually got it rezoned for his church that's down the road. He was the one that told us to go get the neighbor's permission. So there's not anything really around us, and we're just wanting to put a fence up, rock it, make it so where no one can see in, if that's what you guys would like. There's not gonna be traffic in and out of there. We're just trying to feed our family, and we own that property, so it would help us get our business
What's gonna be
going.
your entrance in and out of there? Is it gonna be off?
It's gonna be right, it'd be right off
It'd
the
be in the
13th.
fence.
It'd be right off the 13th, on my plan. My plan is to put a gate there, a rollaway gate, where it can roll open, and The only traffic that we'll have is basically just putting vehicles in that lot. And occasionally a transport truck, maybe once a week, that can come pick up vehicles. And which that's a speedy process. We just drive onto the truck and they send them all down the way, probably to Oklahoma City.
And we used to have a lot in Wichita, because we've owned this company for over a number of years, and we had our lot in Wichita, we have 0 lost runs, we've never had any issues.
Are you gonna be putting up additional security lighting?
Yes,
Yes,
we will.
security lighting, cameras, all the whole 9 yards.
Okay, that's gonna fall into the site plan review as far as where those lights.
Or if it's like
Face.
on the building, we can put,
Well, you have to take into consideration the houses around where your light rays go.
Right.
oh, right.
And which, gentlemen, we could do that. We can make it strictly on the lot. We can put in a specific area where it won't be a nuisance to any of to the neighbors. The neighbors that are directly across the street, we got all the residents there to sign that. So if our lighting was facing that way, they didn't have any problem, we wouldn't let it go onto the road. We can keep it just where it's illuminated. That way our cameras can keep an eye on our customers.
And those are really the only people that are around us, but other people are, it's an empty lot.
And everything, all the other residents per se are on the back side of the building, and we don't plan on shining any lights towards that direction.
I will point out that if the council is in favor of this application, we would need to come back, I mean, I think you would direct the staff to prepare a resolution which would amend the comprehensive plan and an ordinance which would rezone it. And then, I mean, if you're in favor of it, and then speak to the couple about the requirements that you would make under the site plan ordinance, for instance. Concrete apron, at least 20 feet, you know, if they're gonna go to the rock, and then type of fence and all that, which, the site plan is actually a second, you know, application that has to be filed and posted, and it could actually come back all at the same time. I just tell you that because, you know, if you did a motion for approval, we normally do those by ordinance, and you have to amend the comprehensive plan first. And because the recommendation was denied, I didn't tee it up that way, you know, on your agenda, and it would probably need to be. But that shouldn't stop anything, if that's what you wanted to do.
I know we looked at the, like the walls on the, as far as what our lot requirements, I mean, they require a 6-foot fence, completely rocked.
With no grass growing
Yeah,
out
no
of the
grass
lot.
in it, everything has to be maintained well.
We just,
So that's what-
I mean, our ultimate goal is just we want to improve the property.
Would you maintain the grass on the outside of the fence, or?
Yeah, we will maintain the grass.
I mean, or it would stay?
Mhm. Yes,
So
sir.
they have to put a sidewalk in for that site plan, calls, how's that? The site plan that was put in place requires any new development to put in sidewalks, along the streets. Now, would that apply
But
to
would
this?
that just be in front of our building, because there's no sidewalk?
Well-
We'd have to take a look at that, Mayor,
Yes.
because what you're getting into is the residential area, vice a commercial area, and the site plan was, the way it was written was for commercial areas that already exist.
Why don't y'all do it where you live?
Well, just because that's the flood zone there, I don't want to have,
Yeah.
a couple
Well,
$100,000 worth of cars on there, and then I can't get them out because of the natural disaster, the flood, the river comes up. I mean, I would definitely love to do that, for sure. That's why I took into consideration being in town, since I already own the property, to see if I could get you council members and the mayor to approve, me to be able to do it on the other property owned here.
Plus being in the city, that's pretty more fun.
Yeah, being in the city will be taxed commercially, it's just more revenue for the city as well. We don't want to be a nuisance, we're just here to do a business and feed our family, that's it.
Is someone living in that house just to the south of there, across the alley, the first, there's an empty lot at 13th and Lincoln, and then there's a house.
I believe that the gentleman.
Jerry, I believe, there's an empty lot, okay, so you're saying to the south. So where my property is, off
go that way towards the train track.
Oh.
On Lincoln.
Yeah.
There's an empty lot,
He's
and
talking
then
about
there's
the
a
trailer
house.
behind us.
Yeah.
He's talking about the trailer behind us. We've got his permission. He's actually been sick. His wife comes and picks up his mail. He doesn't even live there anymore.
Well, there's another,
I know you're talking to the south, that's the one that owns the empty lot there, we spoke to that guy personally, actually, my wife did. He came to you guys to build a church over there, and got that from residential into, commercial.
Yeah, he was the
And
one.
he told me, he said, you guys just go around, get your neighbors or the neighbors around to approve it, and he said, I did that, and I didn't have any issues with getting that zoned into commercial.
Because he was the one that told us that it was on commercial a long time ago. I thought we had that building on there for a while.
That's all residential.
We were very- Hospital and empty lots and this was. And our fence will only go to the back of our building out, it won't go all the way to the street.
And on that, gentleman, on that, east end there, I only plan on taking the fence to the edge of where the building ends.
And then head north up the street.
And then head north up to the threshold. I'm gonna step back a little bit, that way if there's any kind of plans for sidewalks or in there or anything, I'm gonna come back off, leave a little bit, leave room to set back off that. And then it'll come around, go back to the south, I'll have a gate there, and then when it goes back to the west, it'll end at the building itself too.
We'll be attaching our fence. to the
It'll be, so
building.
basically it's gonna, from the southwest corner, it'll be fenced all the way around over to the northeast corner of the building.
what's the zoning across the street to the west, where the couple houses are, 2 or 3?
We spoke with those people, because well, they own the abandoned house.
They're talking about where the trailer is.
Yeah, that's when it's across the street, west, right across the street, before it goes into where that company.
Is it even residential or is it?
The only lot that is commercial is the lot that we own right here, where the dumpsters usually are for the cleanup. That's the only area that's commercial or industrial.
What's that big field?
The big field is residential.
I guess this is,
And the hospital is residential as well. That's included.
That's
in there.
interesting.
It's general residential, right? That's the proper use for a hospital or clinic.
that's what's hard, is generally you don't like to try to do, or at least I've always kind of, my understanding, is try to do these spot zoning things, and it's been mostly residential, but I can see that being that it is, it borders on 13th, which is a little bit larger road, I mean, I can see more of a call for maybe of changing it. And again, I'm trying to think of, nothing to do with you, but if we change it, what happens down the road? And that's what sometimes, at least how I try to look at it, it doesn't have anything, for or against you, it's just, okay, if we change this, what does that open up, that area, and how will it affect it, 20 years?
And I understand that, a couple things I'd like to point out, we have and I know there's a big consideration of grows and things like that, and worried about that popping off here in our town, I know we got enough, plenty. But, consideration of taking the fact we have a hospital just down the road, we have a school just down the road, I mean, that sounds pretty plausible, not allowing something like that to take place there, to deny them access for that, in my opinion, gentlemen.
Mayor, another option you all have is you can continue this, have them submit a site plan application to the code office, and it'll allow more details to come back to the mayor and the council members as far as the site plan and what they're gonna do on there, rather than just say, hey, we're gonna do this, it actually has to be put on paper. And it's a pretty extensive review that they're gonna fall under that anyway.
Yeah, either way, if it was approved, you guys would have to go through those next following steps. That is part of the process, so
Okay.
if that's something council is interested in, that's up to
I kind of
everybody.
agree with Richard, once we start this, where's it gonna stop? I kind of think we should go along with the planning commission's recommendation.
I mean,
There's a house right across the street.
And there, Mr. Shepherd, I have 100% approval from those guys. Those are actually signatures I have that I went and obtained from
Actually,
all
that
the
would be a
whole
good idea.
residents.
Because they said that there's a lot of break-ins and stuff around there, so they said that it would be a good idea to have some security there.
And you said your access point's gonna come off 13th
Yes,
Street?
Myself, I don't have an issue with it. I think we need to really keep an eye on the planning process. Make sure the turn off 13th is wide enough. So once we do get the street redone, we don't have to tear it up.
Yeah.
You know, it's gonna have to be cemented underneath there and stuff like that. And fence is a great deal, light's a great deal. You know, if you're cleaning up property that's probably not gonna be used for anything else.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
It has had a commercial structure, looking structure there for
Yeah.
a number of years.
Yeah, looks
If
like
it is
that.
gonna have a privacy fence, let's say you put a privacy fence around it, and you can't see anything anyways, what's the difference between that? And it is really on a commercial artery street in town, although it does have some houses, but he's got full support of the people that live by it now.
I mean, to me, that's what I was,
Is it not gonna look like just somebody's backyard?
because he's on 13th. I mean, if it were at the other end of the block, I think it would be hard to kind of, that would be more in the middle of
Right.
residential.
These are our wishes.
Well, the tough one here is, yes, it's here today, like Councilman Braden said, what's going to go there?
Either that or
10 years.
like we could table it like he, and maybe try to do,
Special permit?
because we've run into this before, is do more of a special permit, then that way, you know, once you're done with it, it may revert back.
Gentlemen, I don't plan on being done with it.
But
Yeah.
we're just trying to look past,
Right.
Yeah, we're totally
Yes.
fine with that. Yeah.
Yeah,
We're trying to build a legacy for our boys.
well, we do have law on the agenda. What does the council want to try to, what direction we want to go with this? Continue, you know, we could continue, ask for the site plan, could deny it, could approve it.
could we continue it and ask for the site plan and stuff, and then maybe when you look at the site plan, also maybe have something to look at for special, I mean,
Of course.
then that way we could, to not try to put them off longer and longer, but
This is my means, this is my means of feeding my family right here, you know, I mean, I understand the concern, and I know there's a lengthy process and there's some longevity involved with it. I mean, I'm not asking you guys to do anything special for me, I'll just, I just ask for an expedited thing, if we can get this approved, that'd be great, that way I can start getting some business coming around here, and start getting some things accomplished.
We have clients that are already ready for us to, so bills are piling up, so we're trying to hurry up and get fencing and stuff up.
Well, either way, it'd have to go through the site plan.
Right.
I mean, that way they could get that going, and then we may have also the option of just approving all that anyways, or
Yeah.
maybe words they use for this time, and then, an unusual use, but for a specific, for that owner.
Specific.
Yeah.
A special use permit under that commercial district. I mean, that, you would have to rezone it and then a special use permit, because it's not proper in a residential zone.
Right.
So you're talking amendment to comprehensive plan,
Which we got to see.
rezone, special use permit, and that requires a procedure just like a rezoning. It's 300 feet, you know, the publication, and then site plan is a 10-day posting. All of it to allow Becky and others, you know, to come in here and, you know, and state their mind. what they want to.
And gentlemen, also, I'd like to just point out to the council that, you know, this has been posted in the paper for 30 days, or placard for 30 days, right? 15 days? 15. And we've, we had no objection. We have no citizen here that's objected. Neighbors have approved. I think that we're not going to cause any issues.
Well, Richard, was that a motion?
Sure. To continue this so that, and.
Continue these items, require them to file a site plan, bring it back to the council, and you want to see what a special use permit looks like in this commercial district. That would allow this kind of use.
Because my only concern right now really is not what you're gonna do, but trying to, down the road, that if you happen to not have it anymore. I mean, and that's where I think that I have to think about any of these kind of zoning changes. But at least this will kind of not stop everything that's going on.
Yeah, great.
Can they be back in 2 weeks?
We can handle, if they come in immediately, you know, tomorrow and get working on the site plan, it's a 10-day posting, so yeah, the answer is yes.
Absolutely.
All right.
Now, I mean, in order to do the special use permit, that requires a whole new process. You gotta put a notice in the paper, you gotta take that legislation to the planning commission, they have to approve it, it has to come to you, you have to approve it, because you're changing a district regulation, and that's state law, that's required. And then they would have to apply under that, so.
But that's only if we decide.
That's only if you decide to go there. If not, you'll have, you know, this rezoning, amendment of the site planning, amendment of the district and the site plan all presented to you at the next meeting. But, you know, you're gonna have to work on a site plan. It really ought to have a concrete apron, you know, coming in. We need to talk about what that, what the fence will be, you know, how that will be obscured, how that will be maintained, lighting, and some of the other issues. And we can provide you a copy of the site plan ordinance immediately. Sometimes, you know, engineers prepare that. It's not, I mean, is that required? I mean, it's not required, but, I mean, something detailed that have you had the property surveyed?
I believe I've seen on the county, as far as what the county had is been surveyed, but I haven't specifically had.
Well, you know, Jerry and Cindy can absolutely help you with that, so. And we would have to, even to approve this, we'd have to bring this back at that meeting, because we approved by ordinance, and we'd have to amend the comprehensive plan first, so. But I understand what you want to do, and that can be done.
Go ahead, Tracy.
I have a motion, do I have a
Yes,
second?
Rob, second.
Okay, I did not hear that, Rob, I'm sorry. Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
No.
Braden,
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Moving on to next item on the agenda. Item D, the second reading ordinance number 2021-15 of the city of Blackwell, Oklahoma, granting a non-exclusive permit to cable television operators for the construction and operation of a cable system and providing for permitting article by amending Part 2, Chapter 14 of Blackwell Municipal Code 2020 with a new Article 5 entitled CATV Permitting Article, providing for Section 14-130 entitled Definitions and Terms, providing for Section 14-131 entitled Grant of Permit, providing for Sections 14-132 entitled Standards of Service, providing for Sections 14-133 entitled Permit Fee, Rates, and Charges, Conditions on Sale or Transfer, providing for Section 14-134 entitled Compliance and Monitoring, providing for Section 14-135 entitled Insurance Indemnification, Bonds, or Other Sureties, providing for Section 14-136 entitled Free Internet Access and Emergency Alert, providing for Section 14-137 entitled Miscellaneous Expenses, providing for repealer, savings, codification, severability, declaring emergency.
Well, it's my understanding that, that both Get Real and Clarity have started talking. I don't know what about, I'm not a part of that, but there is a conversation that has begun there. And I was told, and Greg Peppers is in the audience. Desi's not, because my understanding it was kind of an agreement between the two of them that perhaps we could put this off 30 days and allow them to have their discussions. You know, there may be some due diligence occurring. Something might be happening in that world, and bring this back perhaps in 30 days and with the direction, with a focus in the direction. I think that's what would be in order. That would apply to both B, C, D, and E. And did you pull a date? Perhaps. Well, if we did 30 days, it would be the second. Well, yeah, just Tuesday. So, perhaps the 21st. A motion to continue these agenda items to the 21st.
Craig, while you're here, any comment on regarding?
I did have a chance to speak with Clarity, and we agreed that we would try to talk about stuff in the next 30 days. However, I don't know if there's any possibility of any of that. So what I have a little problem with is when you grant one franchise and you gotta grant each person basically the same one. Can't be more favorable, that's lose. If you guys approve your agenda prior to me, then I get unfairly treated. So I asked that if we're gonna be back on the agenda in 30 days, that I'm first. That's all I'm asking.
So we'll put it on the agenda just like this. I mean, you are first. You're
Granting the Clarity one.
no, you're D. You're D. He's E. So yeah, you're first on the agenda.
Okay, that was my concern.
Yeah, no,
Because if you're gonna amend it like what it's stated there,
no,
then I'm.
well, your request
like
was
we're-
your request was in first. So we'll have yours first. At least that's you're the agenda master. But just like we have it here.
Okay, that was my only
Okay.
concern. Thank you very much, Joe.
So under this new proposed ordinance, it looks like there's no longer a office in Blackwell or service tax in Blackwell.
Yeah, any part of this, I'll tell you, between now and then, we can certainly speak about any part of this that you'd like to see included.
I think it needs to be back in there. It was
Okay.
in their original agreement, which was 50 pages, but.
Yeah, it was a month. Yeah,
So-
I mean, anything,
So we don't
They've been doing
have,
it for this long.
yeah, anything that the council, would like to see back in there. And I did today, sent to Jerry, and you can forward a copy of the permitting ordinance, a copy of the poll agreement, a copy of a memo that I did, really everything relative, a copy of how much poll payments have been made, what the annual amount is. You know, I provided Jerry a wealth of information on it, and he can send that to you, so any of you can go, oh, and the franchise agreement, the existing franchise agreement, now that expired, but has continued. It expired at the end of 2019, as has the poll agreement. But you'll see that from the documents, and anything that you'd like, we can put into it. The purpose was to kind of simplify it because there's just, so much more competition out there, but it's your franchise, and I want to make it what you want. Okay?
If we have two franchises, will the poll attachment agreement have to be the same, or can it be, you work that out with each company?
It has to be the same.
It has to
If
be.
we grant him a franchise and somebody comes in, it
It's
has
a
to be
level,
exactly like his.
it's a level.
You could get more for a pole attachment, I would think, if you want to. I mean, it doesn't have to be the same as his. It could be more, couldn't you get more?
Well, the
Just wondering, I
statute,
don't know.
the statute provides that, for a level playing field. That was
Okay.
part of what the, what the legislatures required. You know, Greg and I were talking about this because your franchise initially was voted in, correct, by the public, and that was the way that it was at one time. In order to use the rights of way, because that's a right that's conferred by the Oklahoma Constitution, in order to use the rights of way, you had to seek a franchise. That's still done. OG&E, PSO, ONG, I mean, they seek 25-year franchises, and those are submitted to a vote of the people. Because of changes in federal law with respect to cable television, you know, what they provided, they negotiated a solution between cable companies and municipalities, which essentially provided that cable companies get renewal. Okay, they get their agreements renewed, and you get up to a 5% franchise, 5% on the gross of their CATV, their cable stuff, unless you go through notice and opportunity to be heard with a cable company every time there's a problem. You have to have book and page. We gave you notice, you didn't handle it. We gave you notice, you didn't handle it. And if you don't have that, then it's very difficult, maybe impossible, not to renew a franchise. They also, and the thought is that not letting the public vote it out because they didn't like somebody, because the federal government cut the deal, you know. And so, you know, the state law was changed, no longer requiring a vote of the people to confer a cable franchise. So it was just all part of the deal that was made. But Greg was correct. Originally, he did that. He did submit that. Now, requiring an office, requiring local techs, that's all just part of customer service, which is absolutely permitted in a cable negotiation. I mean, those are things that you can ask for. So.
But the pole attachments have to be, it has to all be the same for each
Yeah,
franchise.
you know, I've never been asked that question, okay? But I do know that the terms and conditions have to be the same. I would assume that applies to pole attachments. Remember, there's some communities that don't own their own poles, you know, and there's some that do. I would have to look at the statute. I assume that's true, okay? But I don't want to answer that without looking at the statute again.
Like, so AT&T, do they have a franchise, or is that different because they're telecommunications?
AT&T predate cities in the state, you know, South, Bell predates us, and so they have a group, well, it's like a gross receipts tax, okay, that is done, but they actually precede us. It's a telephone tax, 2%, but it's only 2% on the base, you know, on the base charge, so it's not a whole lot of money. You know, Ma Bell cut a sweet deal.
But you have an agreement with them, a pole attachment agreement?
Yeah, I've never seen a pole attachment agreement with AT&T.
Really?
No.
I do have one. I said I do have one. Now, about.
On their poles.
Right.
On their poles.
On their
yeah.
poles.
Right.
Most generally, they'll share with you as
Yeah.
well, because you share with them.
It's normally mutual.
Yeah,
They have their poles, we have our poles.
over in western Oklahoma, they have a number of poles in a lot of communities. And
But we don't receive income from that.
Can I talk a little bit about the pole attachments? Over the past, well, if we go for the franchise term, 10 years, we paid in excess of $80,000 for the use of the poles. Over the past 12 years, we've paid close to
I know the city has replaced probably upwards of 500 poles. Okay. So basically we've paid $100,000 for your poles for the use of them. Now the AT&T poles, they depreciated themselves down to the point where they no longer charged for the use of it. So therefore there is no charge on them. Your poles said how many you've replaced versus how many need to be replaced. We're doing pretty much our fair share. But if we double or we try to take me up to $10 a pole, we're talking I'm paying $30,000 a year in pole run. That makes it, it has to be passed along to the customer no matter what. But it just makes us more non-competitive. You also got poles that haven't been replaced in 30 years. Most, you'll know better than me, but I'd say at least 50% of them are old. Some of them are no bigger than that big around.
It's our defense. They serve our purpose, and they are not in danger of falling or doing anything like that. It's when we get them come in and add on, that's when we have that. So, I mean, it's kind of tit for tat on that one, Greg.
So, I don't know what we need to do. I know that under my franchise, it gives me the right to request an performance evaluation, and that we all meet within 5 days to discuss anything. That's under section 14-124. I'd like to actually exercise that right to meet with everybody and discuss this stuff frankly. If we can get that approved. So, are you familiar with that section? I think it's really dependent on the council on what we do.
So is that just a written notice we need to provide, or you guys are figure out what we?
Well, that's the current franchise, which, and the license under it has expired. So, I suppose you could make reapplication, under that. Let's not go, we can meet at any time. If you want to meet, we can meet and discuss these things, because, like I said at the last meeting, you've been waiting a while.
Right.
Yes.
Right, would that be a public meeting or an executive session?
Oh, no, well, if it's with the council, I can't think of any provision of the executive session that could be, if it's the council, we would meet like this,
Well, the pole attachment's got me very concerned.
Right.
That type of rate increase is.
But we haven't officially given you, one of the things I told you was that because we're a government, all we can really do is make suggestions. It's up to the folks around the board what the rules are. And what we're not going to do is individually call a councilman and say, well, what about this amount? And then count to the quorum and circumvent the Open Meetings Act. So whatever we do, we need to do here.
You and I addressed this 2 years ago, where we were going to get the franchise up from 3.5% to 5%, keep it basically unchanged. Other than 2 changes, the bond was going to go down to 20,000, the franchise fee was going to go to 5%, and the poll rental or the poll agreement would just continue on. So I don't know what happened to that, but I'd like to see us continue on as we are. Again, if you look at the amount of money I paid just over the past 10 years, it's $100 grand. That buys a lot of polls. Thank you.
Yeah, in one of my communities, we ordered, I think it was Tomawa, we ordered new poles. They were $325 a piece. And maybe that's just
that's just the pole too.
Yeah, maybe it's just a lot right, yeah, maybe it's just a lot right now, but that is the price, right now, $325 per pole, at least that's what, that's what we've got. It's an expensive proposition, but since there's agreement between the two, it seems appropriate, we need to keep trust, with the folks that we're dealing with, and I would recommend that we do, continue B, C, D, and E, and then Greg can get with Jerry, and we can set up a time that we can talk. I mean, normally, this is a city manager form of government, we can talk management, bring those ideas before you, but I think that date is October 21st, is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, a motion to continue that consistent with their conversation would be, that's our meeting, our closest meeting. That would be our recommendation, I believe.
So we'd be holding off on renewing, item D would be renewing Get Real's permit still yet, or their agreement, still just holding off on that.
Well, we have to fashion a franchise, either existing or current, that we're good with. If it's under the old franchise, we would need to have a permit agreement on the agenda. There may be some things we want to amend there. He wants to keep the pole rental the same. There would be, and let me tell you, I have no problem renewing the existing franchise. It's tougher than this one. It's a tough, it's a tough ordinance.
Well, I was saying, I'm gonna guess that if Clarity received the same one, we may not be having as much conversation about this.
We may not, although where I would think we would keep our eye on the mark is fiber to the businesses, fiber to the home. That's the mark that we want to see. So, that should be I would think that should be our conversation to get the technology in this community up. It doesn't have to be as quick, but somehow, guaranteed, that we would get what other communities have and what other communities are getting. And then, we can relax other terms. I mean, if our objective is to get the best technology into the home, relaxing terms would be intelligent. And that could go to relaxing, Russ will kill me, but it could be relaxing franchise fee, it could be relaxing bonds.
That was my second.
Yeah,
My other question is, why do we really charge a finance fee? It just seems like or not a finance, but a franchise fee.
A gross
because
receipt.
It's just a pass through. They've got to collect it, they got to track it.
It's
We've got to track it. I know it's income. Russ is gonna start jumping up down.
Guess
but-
we're giving away money.
I mean, it's just another hassle for the citizen or the customer.
Yeah, there's always two ways to look at it,
Yeah.
tomato, tomato, absolutely. But those are the things that we can, that we can talk about.
Okay.
This, I'll tell you, the guy that wrote your franchise, Robert Jernigan, it wasn't your city attorney. He was a sharp, he was a broadcaster in Oklahoma City, also a lawyer. He worked for Warwick, was a very, very bright guy. One of the best documents you have in this code book is that franchise. He did a very nice job on it.
Great.
The one thing I'd like to speak to is the fact that 1 year ago, we discussed the renewal and different council, basically. And nothing was mentioned that I needed to run fiber to the home a year ago. This only came up 1 month ago.
Right.
But we had already started the project. That's all I'm gonna say.
That's my understanding too, Craig. council?
Yeah, I'll make a recommendation that we just continue it to the next,
To the 21st.
To the 23rd.
21st of October.
I'll second it.
Tracy?
Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
All right, let's move on down to item F, is consider approval of OCOC CDBG, which has Oklahoma Chamber of Commerce. No, what are we? I know Community Development Block Grant.
Department of Commerce.
Department of Commerce, so it should be
Community Development Block Grant.
ODCOC. Contract number 18225, CDBG 18.
Good evening.
Hi, Maria.
Congratulations on your $450,000 CDBG grant.
Thanks.
I'd like to start out by saying Bryce called me 2 weeks before the application was due, asked me if we could get it submitted in time. Took me back a little bit, and I thought, I think so. So, but first I'd like to say thanks to TJ and to Tracy for being on standby and making themselves available during that 2 weeks. I think I blew up her phone and her email.
Not near as much on my part as it was on her.
Well, my main concern was getting the audit in on time, and I'm glad to say that we got the application submitted 1 day before the deadline. So, anyway, I wanted to go over the contract with you guys. You'll notice there's 2 agenda items for 2 different contract numbers. Department of Commerce takes money left over from previous fiscal years, money that's been obligated or from grants that have come in under budget, and fund the new grants with it. That's why there's 2 contracts. So that's a little confusing. If you'll look at, I think you guys have a copy of the contract, the first one. Don't panic, because it's for $5,361. So we'll spend that
I will
money.
say, when I read it, I was like,
Yeah.
$5,000.
I will myself. First off, when
Digits.
I talked to the folks at Commerce, I was like, why do you guys always give me these split contracts? Well, they always give them to me. Anyway, that's okay. It's all good. So that's the amount on the first contract. The second contract is $444,000 and it totals $450,000. Also, I want you to note the project funding period is September the 3rd, 2021 through September 2nd, 2023. We have 2 years to complete the project. I don't see that at all as an issue. All my other grants, we usually get them done within 1 year. You'll also notice that I think in your packet, there's the terms and conditions. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, it's 12 pages. But on that, it says, basically, in your terms and conditions, it says that you have 120 days to achieve release of funds. That means you've been awarded the grant, but you cannot draw down any of the money until the requirements for the 120 days are met. That's going to involve your anti-displacement plan, which is also on your agenda for tonight. Your housing resolution is on the agenda for tonight. But the main thing is we have to do an environmental review record. It takes me about 60 to 90 days to get that completed. I have 10 I have to do this year. So hopefully I can get it done quicker. I know that the project's not located in a floodplain, so that's going to speed it up a little bit. But anyway, once we achieve that 120 days and we get it all in, we get release of funds, we can go out for bids on that. Also, in your terms and conditions, you're going to have to abide by the Davis-Bacon wage rate, meaning that the contractor has to be paid, or he has to pay his employees to prevailing wage rates. You have to expend your funds, and once we draw the funds down, they have to be expended within 15 days. You have to have monthly expenditure reports submitted to the Department of Commerce, and you have to follow the Public Competitive Bidding Act. You guys do all this. It's just normal terms and conditions for grants, but it'll be my job to make sure that you stay in compliance with all of that. Let's see, what else was I going to tell you guys? Oh, I didn't even think about sending this to you guys to put up on your screen, but I have a hard copy. I want to go over this real quick with you. This is the budget. This is in print. you'll notice at the very top where it says funding source, you'll see the first column says $450,000. That's the grant amount. I've put all of the grant dollars into the construction cost. And the second column is the city of Blackwell. Looks like you were going to have $522,960 of local dollars that will go towards construction. If you'll go all the way to the right, under the total project expenditures, we have $972,960. That's what we have budgeted for the construction cost. Also note that these dollar amounts and line items under the itemized description, all of these numbers and descriptions came from the engineering report and cost estimate that was done back in 2019. So these are all subject to change. So now let's go on down the funding source under City of Blackwell, under the professional and non-construction cost. We have $121,600 in engineering. I believe the city spends probably, I'm going to assume, probably 60% of that. I've spoken with Tracy, she's on it. She's trying to find the contracts with Cowan and all of the invoices. I'm going to need a dollar amount because I have to report that to the Department of Commerce. And then whatever's left will be for engineering costs during construction.
So a portion of this has already been paid.
Exactly.
60%?
Yes.
Is it, yeah, that's usually, most engineers charge up to 60% to design and plan and get everything submitted to DEQ. I've got your ODEQ permit fee in here. I'm not for sure if that's what it cost. Like I said, this all came off of the engineer's cost estimate. And then if you'll turn the page, we have $30,000. That's for public administrative funds. That's to pay your grant administrator. So the total project cost, with all of the hard costs, soft costs, is $1,130,060. So I'm hoping prices haven't gone up too much on this. If so, you'll have to make the decision whether to scale it back or to put in the extra funds towards construction. Does that make sense? Anybody got any questions regarding the budget or the grant?
So I'm going to ask to break this rule. This is a prime example of what I mentioned about agenda items being written. Forgive me, I've been to many meetings. I don't even know what the grant's for. And she hasn't mentioned it. It's not written in here.
Oh, no, it is on the agenda.
Where is it?
It's I. It talks about the water line project to be funded. All of these are all relative to CDBG. So I says the water line project to be funded in part by federal grant dollars.
Okay,
So that's what we did. This was actually a water line project that we went out for a grant on and didn't get. And I think it was with a different grants person. Yeah.
Yes.
And then when it was, and then as administrations changed, I remember the date was May, and we got you on the phone, and you applied for 10 and got how many? 10. Yeah. So that was a good change. That was a good change. So.
Yes.
Thank you, Bryce.
So anyway, but you know what? We ought to have more, and I want to comment on what you, just very briefly. Well, what we've done in our agendas now, and I was cut a little bit tight on Tuesday, is if you look at our agendas, they are different than what we used to. We try to put background, attachments, and recommendations.
I have complimented Tracy on that information.
Yeah.
I have said that is super.
Yeah.
At least we can be given the process.
And this one was a little light because we were cut back in time.
Okay.
But I think you'll find in the future that we're going to try to do a much better job with background and to lay lay that up, but I did want to note that we did have water line on the agenda.
I also want to mention one other thing real quick. I'm almost 90% sure, maybe 95% sure, the city of Blackwell was the only grant that was funded at the maximum amount of $450,000. Yeah. Also, I'm going to give you a quick time frame of what I am expecting for how this project to go. 90 days from now will be end of December. We should have release of funds, meaning we can go out for bids. That's going to take 30 days, possibly 30 days. We like to average, depending on your engineer. That will depend how they do. Park Hill, we bid it out for, we give 30 days. So you're looking at another 30 days, then another 30 days after that for the contractor to get their bonding, the insurance, and everything in place. So we're looking at maybe February to start construction on this.
Jerry, you do know the area that this is. This is part of the priority water lines.
Yes, sir.
Does everyone know that? Did we provide an exhibit that showed that?
It's in the application over here.
And in the past, I can speak to it, and Jerry, correct me if I'm wrong, but roughly from West Blackwell down to Santa Fe,
Yes, sir.
and then from 13th coming back to 4th Street.
Oh,
So it's a giant area.
It's a giant area.
Almost 14,000 linear feet of
Yeah, we've already completed 2 streets
Yeah.
that fall in that area, so it
Yeah.
should expand
Yeah,
to 2 more complete streets all the way to 13.
yes.
By the time they start that, we will possibly have had our 3rd street completed that falls inside that area.
Yeah, and like I said, hopefully costs haven't gone up so much, Jerry would know, but
His ink pen was already busy making.
Yeah.
That market's
well,
been
and I
wrong.
know that you had a meeting scheduled, was it today or tomorrow with Rick?
It's
to go
next
over.
week.
Do what?
It's next week.
Okay. Okay, well, I know that he's looked at the plans and specs and everything too, and kind of, I was concerned, like, are we gonna be able to do all of this?
Yes,
This
ma'am, we're
amount
gonna
of
be
it?
able to do this.
And maybe more?
Yes, ma'am.
That'd be great. I love to see bids come in under budget.
We're
Yeah.
gonna be all right.
Good, okay, so do you guys have any more questions for me, or, okay, I'll stick around through the rest of,
Yes.
Well, I think it's important to note that this is a giant portion of priority water lines.
Oh,
Right.
huge, yeah, it's huge.
And we're able to do it with a $450,000 grant from the federal government. So this is like, we scored the last meeting. This right here is a giant score for this community.
Everything that we have, this council has strived to work for and get done is huge for this community. Brady, you've been doing this a long time, and I've never seen a council that takes on as many projects for the community with no rate increases, are adamant, was adamant to me and Jerry Wheeler. We will do this without a rate increase. And you know what, folks? We're doing it without a rate increase. That's these 5 gentlemen that sat up here,
okay,
and the pretty gentleman sitting next to us.
okay, thanks, guys.
Well, looking for approval of this contract.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second. Tracy?
Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Item G is going to be consider approval of ODCO CDBG contract 18244, CDBG 19. This is the larger portion of that grant that we just
I don't know why they did that.
$444,000.
$444,000. A little more exciting.
It's just more paperwork for me.
It didn't take us long to make a motion for approval on that.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Tracy?
Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Item H, consider approval of CDBG administration contract with Park Hill by and through Marita Woodward.
motion to approve.
Second. Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
And item I, consider approval of anti-displacement relocation plan for CDBG waterline replacement project. The background on that, the waterline project to be funded in part by federal grant dollars will not require the displacement or relocation of persons. Approval of this plan addresses this matter and sets it as policy for the city council. This is a requirement that is part of CDBG.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Moving on to item J, consider approval of resolution number 2021-0018, a fair housing resolution required for a CDBG grant. I can read the background real quick. The city does not support discrimination in housing opportunities. Resolution 2021-0018 endorses this policy currently held by the city council and is required as part of the CDBG grant program. Approval of this resolution addresses this matter and sets it as a policy of the city council.
Make a motion to approve this.
No, second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Moving on to item K, consider acceptance of Guernsey proposal and design of 13th Street and approve request to seek bids for 13th Street project.
Yeah, we got the plans in from Guernsey on doing that, doing the repave part. What I'd like to do is take those plans and have Bryce send that out, write specs, send it out for bid. And from that point on, I would like to be the one that kind of ramrods that operation. Inspects it, oversees it, and make sure that we're complete.
Be approving the design that was presented and then approving to seek the bids.
Yes, sir, I would like to send it out with the design that they provided for us finally, and start getting bids so that we can get some roads paved down there.
Okay.
And Becky will believe we're really gonna do it.
She did say she had faith.
She did.
Interrupt.
Believe me, I'm going to chase her out the building one day to make sure she'd talk to me. Go ahead.
And I loved you for it. My question is this, because I've been to enough meetings, and it's the old lady memory coming in here, it's not questioning you. I seem to recall that the paving of 13th was already included in the Blackwell Hospital Authority bid, the original loan, the original thing. And I'm just asking, how did it get from their business, because it's in that loan, it's in that thing, and now we're pulling 13th back to the city? And I'm not questioning whether it needs to be done, because I trust your authority as a supervisor.
Yeah.
I'm saying, how's
it's-
that
So
fit in?
obviously the hospital authority doesn't have the authority to go build the roads, because it's a city-owned. It's city-owned, even though I know the city and the hospital are ultimately the same thing, underneath the big umbrella. This is our job. They're going to reimburse for this project up to a certain set amount through the new market tax credits, which again is a federally funded program that we were able to receive to cover approximately $2.3 million of this. And the two quotes on this the estimates are coming back about that much. I mean, that's not the estimate, the engineer estimate.
Not quotes, it's the engineer's
The engineer estimate.
estimate.
Yeah.
That was just a general question. I didn't know if
So
we were
that's why
taking back over
we'll
more.
actually handle it and oversee it.
You'll oversee it, but the hospital note and that project
Yes.
will
We'll-
pay for the cost of it as was originally.
Absolutely. Yes.
Thank you.
Yep.
We want to do it to try to save some money, so
Yes.
And I believe you can.
these guys make sure I do.
Council?
I'll make a motion to approve.
One second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Moving on to item L, consider approval of request to seek bids And a request to approve bid specifications for police department vehicles.
You should have got the bid specs in your packet. I get those specs from Ford and Chevy. It's nothing I designed myself or anything, so it's basically the 2022 models for the Ford Interceptor and the Chevy Tahoe. I'm sure the Tahoe or the Interceptor will probably come back as the lowest bid because it's just a smaller vehicle than the Tahoe. But we're going to call the bids on the 13th of October. We already talked about in budget the need for the vehicles, and they were budgeted as capital improvement.
What did we get to?
Yeah, we're going to ask for 2. Yeah. And then I also asked for a purchase price, and then what a 3-year lease to purchase and a 5-year lease to purchase. Sometimes people like to see those numbers.
Very good.
Make the motion to approve the request to seek bids and the bid specs.
I'll second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Item N, consider approval of award to bid and authorize contract or purchase order to Keeler Equipment LLC for bumper pole dump trailer in the amount of $9,300. Chuck?
Yeah, this was, we also talked about this in budget, it was a budgeted item. This would work in conjunction with our new skidster. It's much needed. We only received one bid for $9,300.
I'll recommend approval.
Second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Thanks, Chuck. Item N, consider appointment of Pat Hollett as trustee to the Blackwell Industrial Authority to fill the vacancy created by the resignation of a former trustee.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Item O, consider appointment of Pat Hollett as trustee to Blackwell Economic Development Authority to fill a vacancy created by the resignation of a former trustee.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to appoint Pat Hollett.
I'll second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
All right. Item P, consider appointment of Robert Houston to Planning Board Commission to fill vacancy due to the resignation of Ed Urban.
I'll make a motion to approve. Rob?
Second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
I don't think I'm supposed to vote on my own.
You got to abstain.
I'm gonna stay.
All right. Moving on to number 7 is new business. Is there any new business for the city council this evening?
Not this evening, Mayor.
Thank you. All right. Moving on to adjourn meeting of the Blackwell City Council. Convene the meeting of the Blackwell Municipal Authority. First item is the consent agenda, BMA.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Tracy?
Greenfield.
Aye.
Shepherd.
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Moving on to business. Item A is consider approval of permit K-Electric Cooperative to serve electricity to the property located east of their main office, and if the property ever is transferred for such right to service to cease.
Mayor, we'd like to table this.
Okay.
I prepared an agreement, we've handed it out, but it hasn't been approved by them, so let's continue until they have a chance to look at it.
Just want to give them a courtesy of reviewing it before. We'll bring it back to you the very next month. Council meeting.
Next regular meeting.
Yes.
Yeah, now, just to put a footnote here, it could even come back on the 23rd. We probably, have we told you that we want you to come back on the 23rd? At 6 o'clock, that's a week from tonight, and that would be to approve the planning commission is meeting that day on the amendment to the frontage and to the lot square foot area. Yeah, and if we got that approved next Thursday night, then permits would be taken out the next day, and mobilization would occur, and that would start. So we want to get that going if you guys can meet.
You know, there's one thing, that might be a perfect time to schedule. If Greg wants to have his discussion with the council, we can answer what he wanted answered, and
I won't be here that day. I mean, not that I need to be here, but, you know, I do have a lot of the knowledge of the city on cable, so, that was a good idea, but at the end of September, go south. I go to my law office south.
I mean, if we don't get it worked out, me and Jared, either one of us, and he wants to have a meeting with the council, would we have 2 meetings then?
Well, we can talk about that. Yeah, we'll talk about that. But we are wanting to get that development going, so you know, whether that constitutes new business under the city agenda or not, it did just come up today.
The other thing that too, I'm hoping, praying, that I have some plans for our sidewalk project that would like to put on there as well, right, to go out for bid, finally.
So, so if we have this approved and we are meeting, we will have this on that agenda.
So requesting council to table this item.
Make that.
I'll second.
Tracy?
Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Braden,
Aye.
Houston.
Aye.
Is there any new business for the BMA this evening? Nothing? All right. No new business, adjourn meeting of Blackwell Municipal Authority and convene the Blackwell Facilities Authority. The first item on that agenda is going to be the consent agenda.
Make the motion to approve.
I'll second.
Jason?
Greenfield,
Aye.
Shepherd,
Aye.
Houston,
Aye.
Braden.
Aye.
Is there any new business for the Blackwell Facilities Authority?
Yes, I will be bringing you a BFA agenda item next Thursday at the special meeting.
Okay.
That's all I have.
That being all the new business, then no further business, so adjourn the meeting of Blackwell Facilities Authority.